Now joining us from Sports Illustrated, this man knows the ins and the outs of the college football world, and I've got lots of questions to bounce off of him. He's Pat Forde. How are you, Pat?
I'm good, Rich. I have no good answers, but fire away.
You know what? Because you know what? But nobody has any good answers. I mean, nobody. Even those who have canceled the fall season, those who are still hoping to have a fall season. Name me somebody who's got a good answer. Nobody. Pretty much.
Nobody. I wrote last week that everyone in college sports is miserable because nobody is sure what's the right thing to do.
Nobody is sure what is the right thing to do, and it does appear, right, that the Big Ten and Pac-12 acted out of the right thing to do, but we're seeing quite a bit of pushback from the Big Ten, from member schools, from coaches who clearly were not given a heads up about all this. What do you know about the Big Ten vote and the process that went down that clearly still needs some clarifying, even though Kevin Warren, the Big Ten commissioner, did start speaking this past week about it?
Yeah, I talked to him after he released that open letter, and I asked him, I said, can you go into the details of the vote? He said it would not be prudent. I wish they would. I wish the individual schools, the presidents who have done mostly have just kind of hidden in their offices since then to stand up and say, yep, I voted to postpone, or no, I voted to play. You're being paid a lot of money. You sit in a very prominent position. You have to make difficult decisions. I don't think it needs to be a secret decision. I mean, this is not sitting on a jury in a murder trial trying to decide whether somebody needs to be put to death. It's a decision on whether to play football in the fall or to try to play later. It's just not that damn important to not be able to put your name behind how you voted, in my opinion. But that's where we are, and I think that's part of the reason for the frustration that I think has gone way over the top from a lot of people in the Big Ten.
But the issue is, though, is that whether it was 12-2 or 14-0 or even, what would it be that would be so darn close if it was, 8-4 or even closer than that? I guess what would it be? You would putting pressure on the schools that said no, or putting pressure on the schools that said yes if they find out that this was the prudent decision down the road?
I think they're scared of the backlash from disappointed, angry fans, and frankly from coaches that have helped whip up that sentiment online, and even athletic directors that have done the same. There's a lot of angry fans, and there's been a lot of oxygen pumped into that anger from people actually associated with the schools, and it's made it a difficult situation. But I wish the Big Ten would have been upfront early on, right away. When they had their first meetings to decide this, A, take the vote right away, B, let us know what the vote is, C, move on. But they have not handled this terribly well, and people just refuse to move on.
But it's not as if, Pat Forde of SI here, it's not as if the Big Ten is standing alone, Pat. The Pac-12 made the same decision the next day, but it seems to me that hasn't received nearly the amount of blowback. Am I missing something? Or has there been a parental, if not member school, blowback towards Larry Scott and the school presidents in the Pac-12?
That I've heard of. And, yes, you could say partially okay. The Pac-12 immediately released their medical reasons why, and that was a good move. And the Big Ten didn't do that. But still, this is so far out of perspective, it seems to me, is that, the Pac-12 coaches, athletic directors, players, and parents have said, okay, we understand the decision. And everywhere else, the Mountain West, okay, we understand the decision. The Mid-American Conference, we understand the decision. 40% of the FBS ranks are not playing. More than half of Division I is not playing if you go to the FCS level. So it's not like the Big Ten is standing alone, made some rash outlier decision here. It's just that their fans and their people refuse to handle it, up to and including this amazing scene at the Big Ten headquarters today when a bunch of Big Ten parents came in. I don't know where they landed their helicopter, but the helicopter parents all showed up to protest. It's like, what is that really? Is this the most important thing you can be doing on this Friday? Is to fly to Chicago to stand outside a building that nobody's probably in because they're working from home because there's a pandemic? I'm just flabbergasted by this.
Well, I mean, is it so? What is it that would this have happened if Jim Delany was still there? I mean, is it a Kevin Warren issue? Is that what it is? Again, we're talking about the former Big Ten commissioner and the current one, Pat.
Yeah, I think the result may have still been the same. They may have decided it later. They certainly would have handled the outcome of the decision differently. I think Delany would have had all of the key people at key institutions out front talking to the local media saying, yep, we had to do it. You know, Barry Alvarez would be in front of a microphone. The president of Wisconsin, the president of Michigan, the president of Michigan State, the president of Penn State, you know, they would have been taking this on. I think at least they would have been strongly encouraged to do so by Delany, and Delany himself probably would have been a little more forceful in his delivery of things. So there's no doubt about that. But look, Kevin Warren's been on the job less than a year. I don't know whether he has the relationships with these presidents to even put the heat on them to say, I need you to step up and help make this thing go smoothly. You know, I mean, he's been on the job 8 months, and for the first 2.5 months, things were okay, and ever since then, all hell has broken loose. As he said, I have been trying to run the conference with a telephone and a laptop and a Zoom calls. It hasn't been easy.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.